Hey y'all, it's Bear, and today I'm here to give you like a tour of my mini Fear Street collection. Since today is R.L. Stein's birthday, and we all know that R.L. Stein has been such an influential figure in my life, has had such an impact on me as a reader, as a writer, as a person, I decided to dedicate today's video to my authorial inspiration. I have talked about my love of Goosebumps on this channel, but today we're going to focus on Fear Street. There's a lot of Fear Street spin-off series, but we're going to be talking about three main ones today. We're going to be talking about the original 51 book set, we're going to talk about one of these spin-off trilogies, and then we're going to talk about these super chillers. Fear Street books are, whenever I talk about them on Twitter, I think of this one reply to a tweet that I got that said that they were like the TV procedurals of 90s literature, and I kind of agree. They all can tie together in some way. You have characters who all go to the same high school, so one will like pop up as a side character or as like the protagonist's best friend in a different book, and you'll have like crossing of characters and side characters and side plots and stuff. But each book can usually be read on its own. There's very few sequels in the Fear Street series. Sidebar, if you have any Fear Street books that you're looking to get rid of, you can message me on any of my social medias, because eBay scares the fuck out of me, and Etsy, that's too much. Etsy does too much for Fear Street books. So first we have The New Girl. This is the first Fear Street book ever published. It was published in 1989, and this is a first printing. I was very lucky to find this online for a very, very cheap price. The fact that I own a first printing of R.L. Stein's first Fear Street book, which is inarguably the series that's had the biggest impact on me as an aspiring author, it feels like holding the Mona Lisa in my hands. This follows a boy named Corey, who's like a star gymnast who falls in love with the new girl, who some people think may or may not be a ghost. Then we have The Wrong Number, which is a favorite. It's a Fear Street classic. It was one of my favorites growing up. And it follows these three teenagers who are just having fun one night, like making prank calls. And then they accidentally prank call into a house where a murder is taking place. And then Dina and Jade, our two girls right here, have to try and prove that Dina's stepbrother is actually innocent and had nothing to do with the murder, because he's the one that gets blamed and arrested for it. This one was always out of stock at my school library. Like, this was one people would fight over. Then we have Haunted, which follows a girl named Melissa who keeps waking up in the middle of the night because there's a prowler in her room, whose name I believe is Paul. I remember reading this many, many times, and I don't actually remember the twist in it. I know that Paul is a ghost, we think, because the tagline says there's a prowler in Melissa's room, but is he alive or dead? Probably dead. I like how Fear Street books, some of them are like super paranormal, and then some of them are just like straight up like chiller mystery, solving the crime, slashers. Like, there's always like a good variety. Then we have The Thrill Club, which was actually the book that inspired me to be an author. And this one follows a group of friends. Our protagonist is Talia, and they have this thing called The Thrill Club, where they write scary stories and share them with each other. Talia always features her friends in her stories where they get murdered, but then eventually, like, the murders start to happen. She's like manifesting these stories into real life. This one, I remember, got me to start writing. Like, this one was, I was like, I want to be like Talia and write stories where people get murdered. I never wrote them involving my classmates or my friends or anything, but like, I was like, I want to do that. I can do that. She's a teenager and she's writing. I can do that. I have Lights Out, which is kind of the Fear Street's Friday the 13th. We follow a girl named Holly who is working as a junior counselor at Camp Nightwing, and strange stuff is happening at the camp. Accidents keep happening. A counselor's face gets ground off by a pottery wheel. Everyone seems to hate Holly. All the other counselors hate Holly. This is the first Fear Street book I ever read, and I think holds up as one of the best ones. We have The Secret Bedroom, which follows a girl named Leah, whose family moves to Fear Street. This is a very common thing in the book, like people's families will move to Fear Street, and then something weird will happen at the house. Leah discovers a secret bedroom at her house that's been boarded up, and she can hear things moving around in the bedroom, and she knows that someone or something is waiting for her in there. This is my little brother's favorite Fear Street book, ironically. I think it might be the only one that he read all the way through, but I know that my little brother read this one like 4 or 5 times and loved it. This was the Fear Street book that he solidly claimed as his own out of our like book collection. He was like, that one's mine, you can't have that one. And we have the Prom Queen. Y'all, this cover, appreciate this cover because this is a beautiful one. It follows a girl named Lizzie McVeigh who is nominated for Prom Queen at Shadyside High, but then someone starts killing off the contestants one by one. This was another one that I remember reading and just being so drawn in by everything, because this one, like, legitimate murders happen, like people are dying, people are killing off these prom queen contestants, and I was so just like sucked into this. This is the Fear Street book that I was reading the last time I went to go visit my great-grandfather before he passed away, so getting this one, getting a physical copy of this one was definitely important to me because of that memory. Then we have First Date, which follows a girl named Chelsea Richards who's desperate for a date, and then all of a sudden, 2 boys are interested in her. But one of them is a killer, and we don't know which one. This is another one I distinctly remember reading several times, but I can't remember which boy is the killer. I'm assuming it's the one on the cover who looks like he's gonna choke her, but I can't remember which one's the killer. I'm gonna sidebar for a second because I remember the feeling of reading this one. I remember, like, the concern rising in me for this poor girl. Then we have The Cheater, which is one that I recently read for the first time actually this year. This one was also out of stock at my library a lot. It was always checked out and it was hard to get a copy of. And this one follows a girl named Carter who is so desperate to get into Princeton because her father is a judge and expects the best from his daughter. So Carter decides that she's gonna bribe a boy to take her math SAT, but he's not satisfied with their agreement and starts to blackmail her deeper and deeper. This one has one of the best twist endings of any book I've ever read, like, at all. Then we have Double Date, which follows this really douchey kid named Bobby, who's kind of a playboy. He's dated basically every girl at Shadyside High, and he's like a dick. Bobby's an asshole. But these 2 new girls, twins, move on to Fear Street named Bria and Samantha, and Bobby decides that he's gonna date both of them at the same time without the other knowing. And then he starts to realize, with all of the strange things that start happening, maybe one of the twins does know his secret, and maybe they're not okay with sharing. This one has one of the most satisfying endings of a book I've ever read. It's just, I can't spoil it, but like this one specifically, I read over and over until my copy literally fell off. I have the temporary tattoos. Then we have Bad Dreams. This one is another really gorgeous cover. And this one follows Maggie and her sister who have, you guessed it, just moved into a house on Fear Street. Maggie keeps having nightmares every night, so much that she's waking up screaming. She's waking up in night terrors. And the dreams are that she's being murdered in the bed that she sleeps in that was left in the house they moved into. This is one that I've never actually read, so I'm very excited to see how it goes. I also think this one has one of the most gorgeous covers. It's kind of like Valentine's Day vibes. I also think this cover really illustrates the fact that R.L. Stine and a lot of other like 90s teen horror, thriller, chiller authors had a thing for like redheaded protagonists. Like, not only does Shadyside High have the highest teen death rate in the country, it also has the highest rate of teen gingers. And then for my last book in the original Fear Street run, I have Switched, which follows 2 girls who switch bodies. There's a cabin in the woods off of Fear Street that Lucy and Nicole go into and switch bodies, but one of the girls quickly realize that the other is a murderer and is using her body to get away. I never read this one because my school library just like never carried it at all, but like, I'm so intrigued by this. R.L. Stine has said, I believe, that this is his favorite of the original, like, 51 Fear Streets. I've read an interview somewhere where I know he said that. So I am really curious to read it and see how it differs from other ones. So that's all of my original series. Moving on to the Cheerleaders Trilogy, I do have all 3 books. And I just think that the Cheerleaders Trilogy is peak Fear Street. We follow this Shadyside cheerleaders who, during a bus accident, unleash an evil spirit that's been trapped in Fear Street Cemetery for who knows how many years. Throughout the trilogy, each book has a different girl getting possessed by the evil spirit, and she starts murdering people one by one accidents start happening. You don't know who you can trust because who of your friends is actually possessed? Is it you? Are you possessed? Maybe, who knows? But because of that, we're going to go a little out of order and talk about the fourth book and the Cheerleaders continuation, and we're going to talk about The New Evil, which, as you guessed it, follows the Shady Side cheerleaders who are dealing with the evil spirit. It also felt pretty culty, like there's kind of like this aspect of like a cult mindset and like trauma related to all of the accidents that have happened throughout the Cheerleaders series. This one was very well done. I know that sounds weird to talk about in the context of like teen books from the 90s, but I think we did some good character development through the first 3 books into the 4th one. We have a party summer which follows a teenage girl named Carrie and her friends who are working at this hotel off the coast of Cape Cod, and they think they're just gonna have like a good time this summer with like easy hotel jobs. And then the owner is murdered. They realize they're put into the haunted wing. Faucets start leaking blood. There's fucked up shit going on. For the last book in my Fear Street collection, we have Silent Night. This is one that I would fight over to get to check out from my library because I would check this out every like Christmas break leading up to Christmas break so that I could read it over the holidays. And this one follows like Shady Side's rich mean girl. She's the Regina George before Regina George was even a concept. She's your Heather Chandler. She's Reva Dalby. And Reva Dalby's father owns the department store in Shady Side. She thinks that she can get whatever she wants. She owns everything. She thinks like she's it. She's like the queen of Shady Side. Some people don't like that. So essentially this is a stalker book where someone is stalking Reva and attacking her, robbery, kidnapping. There was a scene very distinctly that I remember in this book where someone puts a needle in her lipstick and she goes to apply her lipstick and it slices her lips open. Like, this one also had 2 sequels, so there was Silent Night 1, 2, and 3, and this is one of the most beloved Fear Street books, one of the most beloved R.L. Stine books ever. I think this is another one that R.L. Stine has said is one of his favorites that he's ever written. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you can leave a like and subscribe and share as you see fit and answer the comment question of the day. Comment question of the day: if you were a Fear Street person like I was, let me know what your favorite one was. Let me know if you have any strong memories attached to them. Like, were you a Goosebumps kid? Were you like a Point Horror kid? Were you like The Babysitter or like Halloween Night? If you don't have time, you don't have the spoons, you don't have an answer, you don't want to answer, you can let me know you made it all the way until the end of the video by leaving me an emoji, preferably a smiley face or a yellow heart. And if you don't have time, you don't have the spoons, you don't have an answer, you don't want to answer, you can let me know you made it all the way until the end of the video by leaving me an emoji, preferably a yellow heart or a smiley face emoticon. All my social media links will be downstairs for you to go check out, as well as places you can support me further if you so choose. I also want to say, R.L. Stine, if you happen to be watching this video at some point ever at all, thank you so much for inspiring me to write. Thank you so much for showing me that, like, it's okay for kids to be scared too. Horror is not just for adults. Thank you to introducing me to this world of the macabre. Thank you so much for being such an impact on me and getting me through some really dark shit that I didn't talk about in this video. You are my idol. Alright, I hope you have a wonderful whatever it is, wherever you are. I will see you tomorrow with another spooky video. Thank you for watching. Okay.